and a technical assistance. The presentation must focus on the sub-theme assigned to the theme. The duration of the presentation should not be more than 10 minutes. The bell will be rung once at the 9th minute and twice at the 10th minute. A question and answer session will be conducted after each presentation. Now I would like to invite SMS PASIR PUTEH to present.
Now imagine, as the words grow hotter and less wages at market, will we one day be relying solely on capsules and pills for vitamin, for fiber, maybe even for carbs and protein? Today, I'm going to tell you how we solve this problem by promoting food sustainability. So, grab your pitchfork, everyone, put your latest straw farmer's hat, because we are going to dig into the matrix, plant a seed of awareness, and one day harvest the sweet fruits of food security. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's meet the brain behind your operation, the one and only Miss MacDonald. So, allow us to enlighten every single person in this room.
Okay, as we all know, the climate change has impacted the whole world population very, very badly. As you can see here, all of these are the problems that occur now.
So, as you can see, our world nowadays have been facing a problem. So, it will affect us too. Later, I will tell you how we solve this problem.
Okay, so research question. How do we enhance food availability and nurture awareness on food security among Kelantanese families? As simple as ABC, we import food and vegetables from other country into our country. As our agro minister, Simzadzin, has stated that foods and vegetables can be easily imported into our country, but it costs really, really, really high, and it will burden the country financially. Is it ideal? No.
So, my dear audience, perhaps you often wondered if a single individual could change the destination the world is heading to. Allow me to pose a question to you. So, are you aware of your power to enhance food security? Do you know that your little two hands could bring a major impact? So, let's unleash our superpower today. We are taking a new, fresh method with our research in this year. Ta-da! It's DDR. It stands for Design and Development Research. It's a structured way to tackle problems and find effective solutions. So, this is the overview of our DDR method. And as you can see, it has two phases, which is phase 1, 2, and 3.
Regarding what my friend has said, so this is our DDR framework. So the phase 1, welcome to the need analysis phase. Think of it as a detective work, but instead of a magnifying glass, we're armed with literature reviews and also semi-structured interviews. Pew pew. Okay, so for semi-structured interviews, we interviewed an agriculture officer, Mr. Faisal bin Pa. And then for phase 2, design and development, we found two established research and then find the main components that we can include in our model. And then we designed a campaign, conducted it, and so that we can nurture awareness into every single person possible. And then lastly, phase 3, evaluation. After we're done with our model, we will send the model to the 3 experts so that they could help us refine it with additional elements and amendments. Okay, so this is basically our instrument, the interview questions. Mind you that we interviewed 3 types of citizens, which are experts, public, and also students. Okay, back to the interview questions. We divided the interview questions into 3 aspects that we have listed from the thematic analysis that eventually we will show you later. Okay, so the first one is effects of climate change. Second is awareness and adaptability. Lastly, help and support. Mind you that why we did the semi-structured interview, so that the the depth of the interview output that's what we want, not the quantity of it. This is basically our thematic analysis. So the highlighted part that you're seeing here is basically the overlapping part from our interview output and also literature reviews. Everybody is talking about the same topic, hence our research is valid.
In order to scaffold our research output, we have conducted a survey on targeted parents and students. So, basically, from that we could learn that people are opt not to buy veggies when price rises because of the financial difficulties. And we also notice that people don't mind cutting vitamins and nutrients from daily meals. So, I have a question for you guys. If the tomatoes price rises, for example, 4 ringgit for each, are you guys willingly to buy it? I guess it's a sign of no, oh my veggies. So, moving on to phase 2, which is design and development, where we offer an effective solution to prevent food shortage. So, firstly, we look at the 2 models by Gandhi, Salim and Ibrahim, to identify some key elements that one farm, one house should have. So basically, we believe that people can take action at domestic level simply by DIY starter kit and growing some basic herbs like lettuce and mint.
Okay, so regarding what my friend has said, our main objective is to instill awareness into every single one of us so that we could grow our own plants and vegetables. Okay.
So, in our phase 2, which is design and development, we have 4 stages. Which is stage 1 is we spread awareness to public using sharing a poster virtually and physically, because we want the people to know the status quo happening in our work today and begin taking that action. So second is that we share a tip on how to grow an onion because it's the easiest plant to grow and doesn't need much care. And the third one is that we started gardening campaign at school where students grow their own plants using the used cup from vending machines. My class for once grew mint because it's the refreshing tea flavor. So the last one is that we give out starter kit to public containing an onion, some seeds, and also a guide on how to grow the best onion.
Okay, so this is basically some of the pictures of the public who've already done the one farm, one house concept. And of course, we cannot deny that many people already did the one farm, one house concept. And in fact, you can see them in your own hometown. But then that is in your hometown. What about the people who live in the urban areas? Many of them are still not aware, as we can prove it from our interview. The real matter is we want to further instill awareness into every single person possible. And then, do you remember the starter kit that we provide? Okay, so basically, we ask the public whether they use our starter kit to grow vegetables, and approximately 80% of them said yes. Okay, so this is basically the 3 experts we work with. Okay, first is an agriculture officer, and then 2 are lecturers from University Malaysia, Kelantan. Okay, this is basically our model, the one that have been improvised by the 3 experts. So the first thing is the top tier, the triangle, the yellow triangle is basically our base model. From our research, if we include more people at a bigger scale, we can give a bigger, further impact. Okay, so if you encourage your neighbors, families, and friends to grow or make your own farm in your own house, then you can make a community farm. If you wish to make a profit from it, then you can make commercial farm. So all of this will contribute into one, which is food security. Okay, so the four entities outside of the box will offer some help, will offer some guidelines. Okay, that's basic.
Okay, our research has been an eye-opening because we discovered the major roles of Department of Agriculture in managing the issues of food security in Malaysia. I hope that our sharing of research that we conducted are able to instill awareness among of the people in this room. So may we all grow for the better health, for the sake of our health tomorrow. Last but not least, don't forget why MacDonald has a farm.
Yo.
That's all from us. Thank you and goodbye. So, any questions?
Now I would like to invite the audience to ask questions.
Yes, please.
Yes. My name is Muhammad Faiz. I would like to ask a question. Do you use random or non-random sampling to select your target population? If so, how do you determine your target, your sample size?
Can you please elaborate your questions?
You mentioned, I don't want to ask, if you use random or random probability sampling for your target population, if you chose random, how do you determine the sample size for your questionnaire, survey, etc.?
Okay, for our sample, we take the people that are in the district of PUTEH as our samples for it, because we actually want to see the research and the population that we take are still valid, because we want to know how did they grow. We want to track them in a short terms, so that doesn't even give up any difficulties or some problem to track them, how they actually grow their own onion and some seeds that we give to them. So basically we take the people that are from district from PUTEH, so because it makes us more easier to track them. Okay. Any more questions? Yes, please.
I'm Arisa Maisara, and since you're adapting the model, what are the parameters set, especially for reliability and validity aspects?
Okay. As I said, because the parameters that we take is in Kelantan. As you can see, we see the Department of Agriculture to make the data is valid, and that means our data is basically a valid data because we take it straight from the the Officer of Agriculture Department from Kelantan, and our parameter is basically focusing on Kelantan itself because we want to actually do a small research to have a valid data, because we are in the quantitative. We want a deep data, not the quantity of it. You must know that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you from the audience, and thank you SMS Pasir Putih. Assalamualaikum. Now I would like to invite SMS BATU PAHAT to present.
Assalamualaikum and a very good day I bid to the honorable judges, vice timekeepers and fellow members of the floor. We, the students of Sekolah Menengah Sains BATU PAHAT, are here to touch on this year's FRSIS theme, which will be the climate emergency, a race you can win. So, our school has been assigned to representing on the sub-theme under the key phrase, building resilience, adapting to changing climate patterns in the food sector. So, we are here to discuss on how to adapt to the unbearable weather while securing the food sector. But before we begin, let me introduce our team members. We have Nurul Huda and Jasmine as our technician, Muhammad Azim Ilmi and I as the presenters. So, several news have reported that Kelantan is experiencing prolonged hot weather that affects their crop production. Next, the graph shows that the temperature in Kota Bharu, Kelantan starts to increase in March and it prolonged until October 2023. However, despite the temperature in Kota Bharu is starkly high, they still receive high amount of precipitation. So, okay, now, as I mentioned previously, where we are trying to adapt to these changing climate patterns, particularly in the food sector, we would like to know the root cause of this chain reaction that could jeopardizing our food sector. Currently, we are experiencing prolonged extreme hot weather, which reported by the Meteorological Department of Malaysia on 7th May 2024, where 4 areas in Kelantan recorded a level 2 hot weather status or heat wave. Consequently, it leads to water shortage and crop production crisis. Hence, we would like to overcome the aforementioned problems, which we want to overcome the water shortage and solve the crop production crisis. But before we dive deeper into our solution of the problem, we would like to provide a general scope of our research where we want to provide a solution in overcoming the farm problems that could help secure the food sustainability. So, without further ado, let me introduce our amazing drip drop solution. So, what is this drip drop solution actually? So, our drip drop solution is actually a smaller version of the original rainwater harvesting system, and it is equipped with a timed sprinkler. So, this will be the design of our drip drop solution. So, it has an expandable funnel, a simple filtration, a float buoy, a timer, a sprinkler, and the water tanks itself. So, how will it work? During rainy days, the rainwater will go into the funnel and gets filtered in order to allow only liquid inside the tank. And then, when the tank reaches its maximum capacity, the float buoy will force the lid to be closed, and then the water will be kept in the tank safely. So, the farmers can set their own time for the water to be sprinkled. For example, they can set for their plants to be sprinkled every 6 hours. And then, the sprinkler will be turned on and operates for 2 minutes to keep the plants hydrated all the time. So, the reason why we want to have this solution to mitigate the farm problems, as Malaysia is a tropical area that has high humidity and high in temperature. So, with these changing climate patterns as well, the weather becomes less variable and at the same time, it affects the crop productions. Therefore, we provide a solution by harvesting rainwater for crops use. Hence, the production of crops and food can increase starkly. Consequently, this system can be used by local communities, which they can start to grow their own little crops so that they don't have to depend on other farmers that much more. So, from here, we can provide information and create awareness to the policymakers for us to be always vigilant and be ready for future inconvenience. So next, I will pass to Muhammad Azim Ilmi to continue.
Right. Thank you, Adam. Next, we will move on to our research design. Our research design is mainly based on quantitative research. According to Crossford on 2021, he stated that this approach is to draw interpretation in order to achieve the research objective. Now, how do we collect our responder response? We distribute a Google form as it's easy to be shared to our families and friends. As for the quantitative approach, we use a 5 Likert scale ranging from 1 as strongly disagrees to 5 as strongly agree in order for us to be fluency. We do employ a qualitative approach, which is simple open-ended question in order for us to receive authentic response from our respondent. After gaining our data, we just use Google Forms automated analysis for us to check the frequency of each that is being asked. Now, we began with our demographic background of our respondent, where the majority that answered our questionnaire ranging from 23 to 29 years old, and most of our respondents came from rural area. We began we asked a question to achieve our first objective of our research, which is overcoming the water shortage. Now, we began with our question where 65.9% of our respondents strongly agree on a statement. I feel that the rain can not only help the locals but can also help the farmers to upgrade their agriculture infrastructure towards their crop production. Next, in this part, we also asked two questions to solve our to achieve our second objective of our research, which is solving crop production crisis. Now, we began with the first question. I think the rainwater, where 52.3% of our respondents strongly agree on the statement. I think the rainwater harvesting system that is implemented to an affordable kit will solve the crop production crisis in rural areas. Next, 54.5% of our respondents strongly agree on the statement. I think the water harvesting kit will help making of a better crop quality because of the stable care. Next, we distribute 3 sets of the same 2 open-ended questions to 3 of our respondents. In the slide, we ask an opinion from UTM postgraduate student who's currently doing her PhD in educational technology about the overall rainwater harvesting system that is intended to overcome the water shortage. And she stated that this approach is sustainable and offers several environmental and economic advantages. Next, this goes the same from a lecturer from University of Reading, Malaysia, where he stated that implementing a rainwater harvesting system is an excellent solution to address the local water scarcity problem. Next, we also got a response from an HR officer where she stated that to achieve effective implementation, it is essential to have a well-designed system, consistent maintenance, and widespread public knowledge in order to fully optimize its advantages. Now, we'll go back to our first respondent when we asked her opinion about the overall rainwater harvesting system that is intended to solve the crop production crisis. And she stated that it is effective as it increased water availability and bolstering agricultural resilience. Next, from our second respondent, he stated for our second question that implementing a rainwater collecting system provides a substantial growth and production of resources for both home and commercial use. Next, back to the response of our from the HR officer. She stated that implementing a rainwater harvesting system to address the crop production crisis is an excellent idea because it could contribute to the local economy by alleviating water scarcity and crop production problems. Now, we will discuss and reason our data that received such positive impact towards our rainwater harvesting system. First, from the question, I feel that the rain cannot only help the locals but can also help the farmers to upgrade their agriculture infrastructure towards the crop production. We have concluded that 65.9% of our respondents strongly agree to this statement because the collected rainwater through our rainwater harvesting system not only benefits our community but also serve as a vital resource for farmers, enabling them to enhance their agricultural infrastructure and optimize crop production. Next, from the question, I think that the water harvesting kit will help making a better crop quality because of the stable care. We have concluded 81.8% of our respondents showed positive response to this statement because with stable access to water through rainwater harvesting, we can provide consistent care to our crops regardless of weather fluctuations. This stability ensures that crops receive quality and yield. By implementing such technology, we're not just enhancing their agricultural productivity, but we're also fostering sustainability and resilience in our farming practices, paving the way for a more secure future in our food sector. Next, we will show our commercialization potential. First, future researchers can have a bigger scale project by adapting to this study towards a bigger population. And since the result of this study show positive effects, we can spread awareness by providing DIY kits to each household. We will then use this opportunity to spread awareness to the stakeholders, policymakers on the impact when implementing this system to conserve runoff water when the demand is high, it increases the manufacturer's stock and it eventually blooms our economy. Finally, our conclusion is that by innovating rainwater harvesting system, present a promising solution to mitigate crop production crisis exacerbated by drought and water shortage. And by harnessing through nature's bounty, efficient collection and utilization of rainwater, this system offers a sustainable means to supplement agricultural water needs, particularly in regions prone to water scarcity. That is all from us. Thank you.
Now I would like to invite the audience to ask questions.
So my name is Muhammad Wadanish Bimsran. So my question is, what is the difference between your innovation with the one that has already exists? Can you explain?
Thank you for your question. Allow me to answer your question. First of all, our drip drop solution is only focused on to be for crop use. That means the harvested rainwater that we kept in the tank is only to water the crops so that the crops is regularly hydrated and can grow healthily. And our drip drop solution is targeted for starters who don't have enough budget and normal people who have their own crops to take care of, but they travel a lot. So our drip drop solution might come in handy, and we think it might be a bigger project for further research proposals. Thank you. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
Okay. Can you predict the cost of your innovation?
Thank you for your question. Allow me to answer that. I ensure you that our innovation is not that, it doesn't cost that much. I believe we can predict it's around 300 ringgit to 400 ringgit. Why do I say that? It's because we actually conducted a specific research of each component that will be in the our drip drop solution. For example, the expandable water tank, it was around 139 ringgit. And also, for example, the sprinkler, which is around 227 ringgit. And other components as well, when we add it up, it doesn't exceed 400 ringgit. And it's a very reasonable price because if you compare it to the normal average price of a water harvesting system, it actually costs around 1,500 ringgit to 10,000 ringgit, I believe. If that's answer your question, thank you.
Thank you for the questions and thank you SMS Batu Pahat. Now I would like to invite SMS Tun Syed SHEH SHAHABUDIN to present.
Climate emergency, a race we can win. A far race, but we are nearing the finishing line. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon to the judges and members of the hall today.
My name is Afrina Afifah and I'm the main presenter.
And I am Muhammad Habib bin Maksaka Hussein as the second presenter and also our team's reporter.
And we are the representative from
Sekolah
Sekolah
Menengah
Menengah Sains Tun SHEH SHAHABUDIN, Pulau Pinang. Putting aside our economic status, climate change is the leading factor for the food-related issues that is happening in Malaysia. This is because climate change actually induces extreme weather changes, and this catastrophe will then lead to problems in agriculture industry, and it will also affect our food industry. So to tackle this issue, we will need a thorough game plan that can minimize the food-related problems despite the weather changes. Before we can jump into our resolutions, we must first understand the problems that we are facing with. Do you know that the greenhouse effect is actually a natural phenomenon? It makes the Earth's temperature livable in the first place. However, human activities lead to the excessive release of greenhouse gases, contributing to the increasement of the temperature. This increasing temperature will then reduce our crop yields and also increase the prevalence of pests and diseases. Now, we can see how the climate change affects our agriculture industry, but what does that have to do with our food industry? Well, these two industries are actually closely related, as the source of our staple food comes from the agriculture industry itself, which is the rice came from paddy. And if we want to resolve the food-related issues, we will need to resolve the climate change issues as well, so that we can ensure the sustainability of the success. Next, the Malaysian government has done numerous initiatives to tackle this issue. While some have succeeded, some also have fallen short. Ongoing development and continuous efforts are needed for us to overcome these challenges, to build a better food system for the future of Malaysia.
Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, how do we reduce these issues? First, we can normalize hydroponic method. How do we normalize this hydroponic method? First, by research and development R&D, market and consumer demand, and also provide guides and plans for the community. Why do we need to provide guides and plans for the community? Because we need to teach from the basic on how to start a hydroponic system at home and or wherever they are. All right, so that's the first one. Second one is implement climate resilient crops. All right, how do we implement these climate resilient crops? All right, so we can implement these climate resilient crops by government collaboration with the international institutions, public universities, and also field trials, which can help different eco-agriculture areas to evaluate performance and effectiveness. And also, community can also take part in giving support. What kind of support? Support in context of financial funding to who? To local farmers and also research and development company, which is R&D, so that they is prepared in the context of financial. All right, and last but not least, reducing food waste. Okay, how do we reduce food waste? We can reduce this food waste through food storage and food management. And what is the benefits of this method? The benefits of this method is that economically we can reduce grocery bills, and socially we can increase availability in getting the food.
Next issue at hand, climate change, the main topic of our presentation and the main character for the whole competition. As we all know, forests play an essential role in maintaining our climate regulation, as they absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and release oxygen through the process of photosynthesis. However, for the sake of our industrial production, countless acts of deforestation has been carried throughout the country. While we cannot turn back while we cannot go back in time to turn the tide, what we can do now is restore those bulldozed forests. As part of the community, we can A, participate in tree planting events, B, join adopt a tree events where we care for individual trees according to our own time and pace, and C, showing our support by donating to these bodies as they also depends on the donations to fund their activities. If reforestation is the cure for climate change, applying environmental friendly lifestyle on the other hand is the prevention step for the climate change. This is because the act of reforestation actually focuses more on absorbing the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, whereas applying environmental friendly lifestyle aims to reduce the emission of carbon dioxide alongside other greenhouse gases. While there are many environmental friendly lifestyle that we would love to share, but we can only walk through with you two of them. Number one, reducing energy consumption by using energy efficient appliances. For example, using LEDs instead of fluorescent lights. And number two, using renewable energy to channel our electricity by, for example, using solar. While it is agreed that the solar panels are expensive, but the effectiveness have been proven by Malaysia airports, where Kuala Lumpur International Airport, KLIA, have managed to save 2.1 million ringgit a year by using solar panels to channel their electricity. Now, the last strategy to try and resolve the climate change is through early education, where we nurture the young minds to develop some kind of empathy for the nature, so that they are willingly want to develop the sustainable habits. Parents and guardians play an essential role in this particular incentive, as their encouragement and their good examples are the backbone for the children's growth. Government, on the other hand, can approach this incentive through curricular development, where they prepare age-appropriate materials and also integrate climate education in the existing, with obvious examples, geology and science. By analyzing the survey that we have conducted, we can conclude that the majority of Malaysians are well aware of the effects of the climate change on our food sector. And they are also have positive mindset that we can actually tackle this issue. But the problem is they are waiting for others to get started instead of stepping out themselves. As the wise man said, 1,000 miles journey start with a single step. And that's what we need to start doing today. When all of us do our own parts to ensure in the efforts to reach the sustainable future for Malaysia, the rate of success will increase day by day, little by little. With that, we conclude our presentation with the Q&A session. Thank you.
So, anyone with questions?
Now I would like to invite the audience to ask questions.
Assalamualaikum. What I want to know is, can you explain to me more about climate resilient crops?
All right. Okay. Thank you for the question. All right. For about climate resilient crops. Okay. Climate resilient crops is actually crops that can resist through climate change, such as drought and also flood. As instance, is submergence tolerant rice varieties at the east coast of Peninsular Malaysia, which is Kelantan and Terengganu. These submergence tolerant rice varieties can withstand flood, and can recover fast after the flood incident. Yeah, I hope my answer fulfill your question. Yes.
So I want to ask, what are the framework that implement in your research?
Can you please elaborate your question, please?
Okay. So what are the framework that are implemented in your research? Means that what are the people or place that are have in your framework in your research that are concluded in your research?
All right. Thank you. Sorry. Okay. Okay. In our framework, we specifically focus in our school students, okay, for the research. We did a Google form and we gave it to our teacher, and our teacher sent it to the groups, our school's group, and we got around 96 responses between the teachers and the students, around 30 something responses among the students. Did I answer your question? Yes, thank you.
Thank you for all the question and thank you for SMS to Syed SHAHABUDIN.
Thank you.
And for the last team today, I would like to invite SM Sultan Abdul Halim to present.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you just saw in the video showcases the real-life struggles of local paddy farmers in Kedah. Ensuring that their paddy survives through harsh weather is already a Herculean task, let alone trying to increase their paddy production rate by 2 or 3 folds. Today, we, Oriza Sativa from Sekolah Menengah Sultan Abdul Halim, would like to address the plight of these farmers and explore agricultural challenges and potential solutions for this pressing issue. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a good day to everyone. I am Ashraf, the first presenter from Oriza Sativa. Dear members of the floor, as you can see from this slide, the impacts of climate change are devastating. As highlighted by several headlines, for example, in Africa, a food crisis has caused more than 150 people to suffer from hunger. Other than that, the United Nations also notes that hunger now affects quarter of our humanity. In Malaysia, it's not excluded from climate change, as for example, in Kelantan, flood has destroyed several rice fields, causing an estimated value of 1.4 million ringgit in losses. Clearly, we can see that climate change is severely impacting our agriculture and food security. As highlighted by several researchers such as Mojid et al. 2024, Vogel and Mayer 2018, and Sajad Ali 2017, it is crucial for us to understand the challenges faced by these farmers and explore creative solutions to build resilience in our agriculture system. Dear judges and floor members, to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal 2, Zero Hunger, we need an innovative solution. One promising solution would be genetically modified organisms, or GMOs. GMOs are plants, animals, or microbes which have underwent genome changes to produce better and more enhanced version of the old species. GMOs offers numerous benefits towards agriculture, such as increasing its paddy production yield to meet the growing nation's demands. The global use of agriculture has had mixed outcomes. For example, in India, the adoption of genetically modified crops has boosted its yields by 2 or 300%. Meanwhile, in US, the use of genetically modified crops has been undergone for 2 decades with promising results. Meanwhile, in Malaysia, farmers oppose the use of genetically modified crops as they fear the loss of agricultural practices. This skepticism forms our research gap. Today, our research objectives are to determine the level of awareness between non-paddy farming groups and paddy farming backgrounds or about GM rice and paddy. After that, we are going to compare between the perception differences between these two groups. And lastly, we are going to propose a few suggestions to spread awareness on GM rice and paddy. Moving on to this research methodology, I would like to invite my great friend Khaira Alisha to enlighten us.
Thank you, Ashraf. I'm Khaira, and I would like to walk you through the key aspects of our research methodology. Ladies and gentlemen, we surveyed 354 respondents, including 289 students from Sekolah Menengah Sultan Abdul Halim and 65 parents and teachers. Our survey had 24 items across 3 domains: respondents' profile, perception, and suggestions. For domains 2 and 3, we used a Likert scale from strongly disagree to strongly agree, allowing us to quantitatively analyze the data. Members of the floor, our respondents' family background in paddy farming is crucial. We asked the question, do you come from a paddy farming family? Out of 354 respondents, 249 do not come from such families, while 105 do. This distinction forms the basis of our hypothesis that those coming from paddy farming backgrounds are more aware and receptive towards genetically modified GM paddy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's dive into the data analysis. We transform data from domain 1 into means and percentages to further understand our respondents' demographics. For the perception and awareness domain, we aim to determine how aware the respondents are regarding GM paddy. As seen on the slide, we asked one key question, which was, do you know what genetically modified GM crop is? We found that 258 out of 354 respondents lack proper understanding of GM organisms. We also asked the question on benefits of GM paddy.
we found that 283 respondents, or 79.9%, agreed that GM paddy can increase production rates. As proof, a study conducted by Kumpler and Kaim in 2013 proved similar results, stating that GM crops can increase yield production by 21%. Ladies and gentlemen, for our research objective 1, we examined the level of awareness between paddy farming groups and non-paddy farming groups, each with means of 3.76 and 3.75 respectively, indicating a high, moderate level of awareness. Now, my good friend Alia Adlina will continue with the presentation.
Thank you, Kyra. Now, I would like to resume the presentation. We analyzed the mean crop from 8 out of 10 questions in Domain 2, Perception or Awareness. We used an unpaired t-test on QuickCalc site to compare the two groups. Our goal was to determine if there is significant difference in awareness between respondents with and without paddy farming background, addressing research objective 2. Ladies and gentlemen, the unpaired t-test analysis showed no significant difference in awareness between both groups. Both groups have a high moderate level of awareness about GM paddy. Therefore, our hypothesis 1 that respondents from a paddy farming background have a higher awareness and more receptive to GM paddy is rejected. Similar results were found by Tenius and Sang 2015 in their large-scale study on GM food among consumers in Klang Valley, recording our findings. Next, we address research objective 3, providing practical and credible suggestions for raising awareness about GM paddy consumption. These suggestions are for the public, government, and non-profit organizations. Suggestion to raise awareness number 1. 92.4% of respondents agreed that the student trip to GM research lab can greatly increase understanding and awareness of GM paddy production. Suggestion number 2. Distribute samples of GM rice. 85.9% of respondents agreed that giving out samples of GM rice can be an effective way to raise awareness of GM rice. This suggestion has not been mentioned nor proposed yet, at least not in Malaysian context, from the article we have searched. Suggestion number 3, government promotion of GM technology among farmers. 84.8% of respondents agreed that the government should promote GM technology to farmers. A similar initiative in China saw the government encourage research and supervision of technologies in agriculture, CHUI 2018. Last but not least, increased government investment in GM technology. 94.7% of respondents agreed that the government should increase funding in GM technology. Hashim et al. 2020 highlighted this need, noting an investment of $144.5 million in 15 fields, and requested for more funding to develop biotechnology industry and not to hamper it. Now, let's move on to our summary. Members of the floors, on our final note, our group has tackled the issue of food scarcity resulting from climate change. We've explored the potential of GM paddy as a solution. We also propose practical suggestions to raise awareness among Malaysians to address the skepticism. We hope the public will accept GM paddy or rice as a staple food if food production remains a constant in the future. This is the reference for our group. That is all from our presentation. Now, let's welcome questions from audience and judges for the Q&A session.
Now, I would like to invite the audience to ask questions.
Okay, so my question is, how does
these genetically modified paddies affect all farmers around the globe, which is estimated around 2.5 billion farmers. Since most farmers in our world usually learn their farming skills from tradition, and I'm scared that these genetically modified paddies might disrupt what they've learned over the past few decades, let's say.
Okay, thank you for the question. As stated on the slide, GM paddy, that is genetically modified organisms, is modified by genetical engineering. These alterations are made to possess the traits that from other species that we can implement into our paddy. We can make the crops more resilient to climate change, like droughts and floods. I hope that answer your questions.
Is there any questions?
Next.
Is there any other questions?
Thank you for the questions and thank you SM Sultan Abdul Halim.